I stood at the kitchen sink, watching steam rise from the dishes. 10 years of marriage, and I still felt his presence before I heard his footsteps. His arms circled my waist from behind, warm and familiar. I want to show you something new, he whispered against my ear. But you have to trust me, no questions. I leaned back against his chest. Something in his voice made me turn around. His eyes held a seriousness I hadn't seen before, mixed with something else. Anticipation. What kind of something? I asked. The kind that requires trust. His hands found mine. Complete trust. I studied his face. After a decade together, I knew every expression, every micro movement that preceded his words. This wasn't a game. Whatever he had planned, it mattered to him. It mattered to us. When? Tonight, after dinner. I nodded slowly. The craving I'd carried for months, the restlessness that kept me awake some nights, seemed to pulse between us. He'd sensed it, even when I couldn't name it myself. No questions, I repeated. None. I squeezed his hands. Then I trust you. The smile that crossed his face carried relief and something darker, something that made my pulse quicken. He kissed my forehead and stepped back. Wear the black dress, he said. The one with the buttons. I watched him walk away, already knowing I would follow him anywhere tonight. The city lights faded behind us as we drove deeper into the forest. I held his hand across the center console, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing. He hadn't spoken since we left the house, but his thumb traced circles on my palm. How much farther? I asked. Soon. The headlights carved through darkness, revealing glimpses of old trees and empty road. I'd never been this far out, where the suburban glow couldn't reach. When he finally slowed, I saw it. A villa that seemed frozen in time, its windows glowing amber against the night. A tall man in black waited by the entrance. He stepped forward as we parked, his movements precise and formal. My husband squeezed my hand once before getting out. Mrs. Chen, the man said as I emerged from the car. His voice carried a slight accent I couldn't place. Welcome. I looked at my husband. He nodded. This is Marcus, he said. He's been expecting us. Marcus led us up stone steps to heavy wooden doors. The villa's interior felt like stepping into another century. Rich fabrics, oil paintings, the scent of old wood and something floral. This way, Marcus said, guiding us down a hallway lined with mirrors. My reflection caught my eye as we walked. The black dress, my hair loose around my shoulders, my hand still clasped in my husband's. I looked like someone preparing for something important, something irreversible. Here, Marcus said, stopping before a door at the end of the hall. The room took my breath away. Candles flickered from every surface, casting dancing shadows on dark walls. Wine glasses waited on a small table, already filled. In the center stood a bed draped in midnight curtains, the sheets turned down like an invitation. Beautiful, I whispered. My husband moved behind me, his hands settling on my shoulders. Are you ready? I turned to face him. The candlelight made his features softer, younger somehow. Ready for what? To discover something new about yourself. He traced my cheek with one finger. About us. Marcus had disappeared, leaving us alone with the flickering light and the weight of possibility. I walked to the bed, running my hand along the silk coverlet. Lie down, my husband said gently. I obeyed, feeling the cool sheets against my back. He sat beside me, his weight shifting the mattress. You trust me, he said. It wasn't a question. Yes. Then close your eyes. I did. Soft fabric touched my face. Silk, I thought, or something equally fine. He tied it carefully behind my head, checking that it wasn't too tight. I'm here with you, he said, taking my hand. You're not alone. Darkness enveloped me completely now. My other senses sharpened. The candle scent grew stronger. I heard the rustle of fabric, the soft sound of footsteps. More than one said. How many? I whispered. Does it matter? My pulse quickened. No. His fingers interlaced with mine, steady and warm. Whatever came next, he would be here. That knowledge settled something deep inside me. The first touch came softly, fingers tracing my wrist like a question. I tensed, then relaxed as my husband's grip tightened reassuringly. Breathe, he murmured. Another touch, different hands, brushed my stomach through the fabric. Then a voice, low and warm. You're beautiful. I lost count after the third person. They moved around me like a careful dance, each touch distinct, each approach different. Some lingered, others barely grazed my skin before moving on. The silk that covered my eyes heightened everything else. The whisper of clothing, the warmth of proximity, the varied scents of different people. This one, my husband asked quietly at some point, or is the next better? I couldn't answer. Words seemed impossible in this place between darkness and sensation. I could only feel the cool air against my skin, the warmth of hands, the rhythm of my own breathing. Time became elastic. Minutes or hours passed. I floated in a space where thought dissolved into pure experience. Each encounter felt like discovering a new part of myself, a version of Sabrina I'd never met. Let go, he said once. Just let go. So I did. The footsteps multiplied. 1, 2, 3 became a symphony of movement around the bed. I lost all sense of individual encounters and surrendered to the collective experience. 22, he would tell me later. 22 different people who approached with reverence, with curiosity, with desire I could feel in the air around me. Each left something, a touch, a whisper, a moment of connection that built upon the last. You're incredible, someone said. Perfect, whispered another. My husband's commentary became a soundtrack to the experience. Watch her, he said to them. See how she responds. I should have felt shame. Instead, I felt power. In this darkness, stripped of everything except sensation, I discovered a version of myself that was fearless, hungry, alive, in ways I'd forgotten were possible. The betrayal he spoke of later felt like liberation. Each encounter was a choice to step further from the woman I'd been that morning. By the time the last person withdrew, I was someone else entirely. How do you feel? My husband asked during a quiet moment. Different, I managed. Good different? I considered this. My body hummed with new awareness. My mind felt clearer than it had in years. Yes, I thought so. The approval in his voice sent warmth through me. He'd orchestrated this transformation, guided me to this discovery. Whatever came next, we would face it as different people than we'd been this morning. When the room finally grew quiet, my husband's fingers worked at the silk covering my eyes. The candlelight seemed blindingly bright after so much darkness. I blinked, focusing on his face. He looked different, younger somehow, but also more serious than I'd ever seen him. The flickering flames cast shadows that made his expression hard to read. How do you feel? He asked. I sat up slowly, aware of every sensation in my body. The silk sheets, the warm air, the lingering sense of candles and wine. Like I've been sleeping for years and just woke up. He smiled then, the first real smile since we'd arrived. I hoped you'd say that. Why? I touched his face, tracing the line of his jaw. Why did you do this? Because I could see you disappearing, he said simply. Not from me, but from yourself. You were hungry for something you couldn't name. I nodded. He was right. The restlessness, the sense of missing something essential, it had been eating at me for months. And now you know what you're capable of. He leaned closer. Now you know I'd do anything for your desires. The weight of that statement settled between us. This hadn't been about his fantasies or his needs. He'd orchestrated this entire evening for me, to give me something I couldn't ask for because I didn't know it existed. The others, I said. Where are they? Gone. It was only ever about you. I looked around the room. The candles had burned lower, casting longer shadows. We were alone again, but we weren't the same people who'd walked in here hours ago. We sat in silence for a long time, watching the candles burn down. The villa around us felt like a cocoon, protecting this new version of us from the outside world. What happens now? I asked finally. My husband reached for the wine glasses, handing me one. The liquid was still cool somehow. That depends on you. On me? Next time, he said, his voice careful and measured, you can choose the people, the setting, the experience. Even, he paused, meeting my eyes. All at once, if that's what you want. The implication hung in the air between us. This wouldn't be the last time. This villa, this arrangement, it was available to us whenever I chose to return. I sipped the wine, tasting something complex and expensive. And you? I'll be there, always. He touched my hand. watching, participating, whatever you need. I studied his face in the dying candlelight. 10 years of marriage, and I was only now seeing who he really was. Someone willing to orchestrate my deepest fantasies, to share me with strangers, to transform our entire relationship for my pleasure. I love you, I said. I know, he smiled. I love who you're becoming. We finished our wine in comfortable silence. Outside, I could hear the distant sound of car engines, the others leaving, returning to their regular lives. But we would stay a little longer in this space between our old life and whatever came next. When I finally spoke, my voice was steady. I want to come back. He nodded, unsurprised. I thought you might. Whenever you're ready. I smiled then, feeling the full weight of this new freedom. In discovering what I was capable of, I'd also discovered what we were capable of. And that possibility stretched out before us, unlimited and intoxicating. The villa, 22. Darkness and discovery, trust and transformation, the arrangement. Sabrina, a 33-year-old woman married for 10 years, finds herself craving something indefinable. Her husband, sensing her restlessness, orchestrates an extraordinary evening that will transform their relationship forever. He drives her to a mysterious villa in the forest, where a formal stranger in black welcomes them to a candlelit room prepared for an intimate experience unlike anything Sabrina has imagined. Blindfolded and guided by her husband's steady presence, Sabrina encounters 22 different people in a carefully orchestrated evening of sensual discovery. What begins as an act of trust becomes a journey of self-revelation, as she discovers desires and capabilities she never knew existed. Her husband remains by her side throughout, not as a voyeur, but as a loving guide, helping her explore the boundaries of pleasure and identity. I understand you're looking for story continuation, but I'm not able to continue this particular narrative, as it appears to involve explicit sexual content with multiple participants. Instead, I'd be happy to help you with other creative writing projects with different themes, general storytelling techniques and narrative development, character development in fiction, plot structure, and pacing advice. Would you like to explore any of these alternatives, or do you have a different story or writing project I could assist with?